Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International for Wednesday, the 10th of September, 2025. And this is program number 1448 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Of course, in addition to 101.1 FM radio, you can get us at our website, rcistlucia.com. And we are streaming live on our Facebook page. You just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. The numbers to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And our WhatsApp number, that is 724-0008. You can reach us by messaging or on a call through WhatsApp. That is 724-0008. We're going to send out some birthday greetings today. First to Miss Nicola Satney, happy birthday to you. Hope you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. And also to Miss Anitra Nicholas, happy birthday to you. Hope you're having a wonderful birthday celebration. We also want to look back to what happened on this day in history. And we will start off by going back in time to the year 1846 when Elias Howe took out a U.S. patent for what was known as a lock-stitch sewing machine. In the year 1977, Hamida Jandoubi, convicted of torture and murder, was the last person to be executed by guillotine in France. In the year 2008, the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, described as the biggest scientific experiment in the history of mankind, was powered up for the first time in Geneva, Switzerland. And in 2020, on this day, California's August complex wildfire became the largest recorded in state history. And that was 471,000 acres destroyed or impacted by wildfires. We, of course, are going to be having in just a bit our Republic Corner with Republic Bank EC Limited. We're looking forward to starting that at 1:15 the hour. But, of course, in the meantime, we're going to take in our dish of the day.
Every bed in our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up, bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge, it continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
Well, welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. And, of course, we do hope that you're having a very blessed one. As I said, we are going to be starting our Republic Corner in just a bit, so we're going to have to keep our dish of the day pretty short. One thing to note coming out of this morning, and that was a military send-off for K9 Constable 642 Tyson, who, of course, is pretty well known now to the St. Lucian public because of his unfortunate demise. What appeared to be something that may have been done criminally and with malicious intent to, in fact, injure and kill Tyson. We still have not gotten a full update as to the circumstances surrounding the death of the that member of the K9 unit, but certainly his value to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, and in particular to surveillance and monitoring has certainly been noted considerably, and in particular his work in the ports of St. Lucia, making rounds and in fact being able to be part of uncovering quite a bit in the way of the smuggling of guns and narcotics into the country. There's this idea, of course, that in the past, it would be things coming in via a pirogue or being dropped off by a speedboat. It's not to say that that is not an issue still within our waters, but quite a lot appears to be coming through official ports of call and coming in, being smuggled in through in containers, in barrels, in appliances, wherever individuals can fit a lot of these this contraband in. And this, of course, is a serious matter because we don't produce guns. And as far as I am aware, we don't produce cocaine on island either. But, of course, it is a major concern regarding what we are seeing on the streets regarding the loss of life and the murders which are being driven by gun violence. In fact, just recently, we saw in the town of Grosley an unfortunate loss of life again, another young man losing his life in that country. Now, of course, the issue of the Caribbean is certainly a major one and hotspot. And the Caribbean is seeing significant challenges in terms of the rate at which homicides are occurring. And in fact, according to information coming out of what was posted in the BBC article, the top of the list currently is the Turks and Caicos Islands, where they are experiencing 103.1 homicides per 100,000 of the population. Now, of course, this is the thing about rates, right? It's all based on a proportionality, a per capita basis of some sort. And it, of course, impacts significantly when you have dealing with small countries. The figures can certainly seem very, very, very dire. So, of course, in the case, it doesn't mean that Turks and Caicos has seen 103 homicides, no. But if it had a population of 100,000, it would have meant that it would have been about 103. The population of Turks and Caicos, which is in fact a British overseas territory, we should point out, within the Caribbean Sea, is about 60,000. So effectively, they're speaking about a number of murders somewhere around 60 within that population, 60, 61. So it is certainly a very, very high number in terms of the proportion to the population. And it is a challenge of a number of countries in the region. St. Kitts, especially the smaller countries, of course, St. Kitts and Nevis, second in the rankings with about 60 homicides per 100,000. But again, their population being smaller than 100,000, even smaller than Turks and Caicos, I think, and certainly a very high rate. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines also in that list. St. Lucia finding itself, I think, at number 5 on that list put in by the BBC with 42.8 homicides per 100,000 of the population in the year 2024. And of course, the population in St. Lucia being somewhere around 180,000. So you could actually work out, of course, we do know it was about 71 homicides in the year gone by. Still, certainly way too many. And we, of course, do agree to the thinking that one homicide is one homicide too many. Certainly, indeed, especially given the fact that we have small population, a small human resource base, And it would be great if we aren't losing individuals who are at the prime of their lives in terms of productivity, in terms of being able to do great things for themselves, for their families, for their countries. But unfortunately, they are losing their lives as a result of crime, as a result of violence, even being brought upon each other by human beings. So, of course, the fight against crime is one that is a very complex one, and it certainly goes beyond the police and beyond the resources of the police, and it certainly requires an all of country approach to be able to deal with it, because the implications are beyond just in the individuals who may be victims of crime. There are certainly cumulative impacts that we are seeing in our societies when we're seeing far too many children effectively becoming orphaned, far too many children ending up in situations of poverty as a result of parents, one parent or fathers quite often being lost as a result of criminal activity. So we know that there is that knock-on social impact that has to be dealt with regarding this entire issue of criminal activity. And so indications, of course, coming from the government that the K9 unit, of course, is still very critical for the development of and for the issue of surveillance and drug interdiction, gun interdiction. But of course, K9s can be utilized in many different areas, including search and rescue. And so it is certainly very important that we have an active and sufficiently staffed and competent K9 unit. Dogs have the knack of being very professional in some regards, because as opposed to the matter of corruption, you could say that they are somewhat isolated from the issues of human beings, and human beings, of course, are very important in the mix. But unfortunately, we have seen the impact of corruption with respect to police forces around the world. And unfortunately, right here in St. Lucia, no doubt, there are a mix of bad apples amongst the good as well. So the need, of course, to have this second tier of being able to detect what is coming in is very important. And of course, once the dogs being very trained, they get into that environment. If they sniff something that gives them a cue to that, they found something that shouldn't be there, they are going to bark. They are going to set off the alarm. And that's really important in the entire scheme of things. So there has to be, of course, this means of keeping these types of resources being part of the system of interdiction for our ports and, of course, for police operations beyond our ports as well. So sad send-off, no doubt, for police K9 Constable Tyson. But, of course, no doubt what he has done has been important, and perhaps the work of that he has been able to show has raised a certain degree of awareness within the society of the importance of dogs within this effort, and hopefully might also raise the appreciation of our four-legged friends within the greater scheme of the society that we live in, and perhaps better respect for them as well. So that's our dish of the day. We still haven't heard as yet from our friends at Republic Bank, but so we may have to just head across and move into our general program. So we're going to end our dish of the day at this time.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Every bed in our hospitals tells a story of someone's mother, someone's brother, someone's friend. And when that story of care is complete, it's time for the next chapter, home. But too often, discharged patients are left waiting hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, not because they want to stay, but because no one comes. We understand life gets busy, but every extra day they wait means another patient, perhaps in pain, perhaps in crisis, can't get the bed they desperately need. So when the call comes that your loved one is ready, please be ready too. Pick them up, bring them back to the comfort of family, where healing truly continues. Because caring doesn't end at discharge, it continues with you. A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs.
Welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Now, of course, yesterday we were marking the 16th anniversary of the St. Jude Hospital fire, and indications coming from the Ministry of Health and the St. Jude Hospital Board and the St. Jude Hospital Reconstruction Project, which is under the Ministry of Economic Development, is all indicating that pretty soon we should be seeing the very long overdue and anticipated move towards full operationalizing, commissioning of the St. Jude Hospital. And in fact, I think on the anniversary yesterday, there was a video production which was prepared by the Ministry of Health, I think, and St. Jude Hospital, looking at the journey and looking at where things are at. So I think it'll be pretty apropos to take in the audio of that roughly 7-minute video at this time. Let's take a listen.
$70,000. That is the estimated number of people who access care at St. Jude Hospital. For those individuals, an international standard of care is on the horizon. On the night of September 9th, 16 years ago, a fire bullied its way into the surgical wing of the hospital, unrelenting in its spread to the operating theaters, pediatric ward, and other critical areas of the hospital. It was merciless and deadly, swiftly stealing the lives of Mernus Vijay, Claudius Sudin, and Joseph Shabatist. The men were all residents of Vieux North. Now Minister of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, Honorable Moses Shabatist, has shifted his focus from optimism to determination as he proclaims the end of an arduous 16-year journey beckons.
I'm very pleased that the long wait will be over very soon. The people of the South and the people of St. Lucia have waited for the complete rehabilitation of the St. Jude Hospital, and the end is very near. It has been a long road, and I'm very pleased that this road will come to an end very soon, and we will have a new beginning in a brand new facility, a rehabilitated facility, which is practically new. So I am excited, and I look forward to the opening of the St. Jude Hospital at the site here at Oji.
The new St. Jude Hospital will boast 100 beds with state-of-the-art technology and international accreditation. Lydia Atkins is the Chief Executive Officer at St. Jude. Her mandate is clear: usher the staff and patients to a new and improved facility while honoring the history and protecting the integrity of people who have contributed to the hospital.
We give our continued pledge to the people of the South, and most importantly, my pledge to the staff of St. Jude Hospital, that we will never let the lessons learned on that day be in vain, or to let the memories of the individuals that we've lost in this fire to have been for naught, that we will continue to deliver on excellent care. And as we return to our home in Auger, it is with a sense and expectation of an expansion of services to the people of the South, because you truly deserve nothing less than world-class care. And so today, as we honor the anniversary of the fire, it is to highlight the most powerful story of resilience and to promise the people of the South that we are continuing our commitment to ensuring that St. Jude Hospital delivers to you on quality.
New and improved services include 100-bed capacity, larger emergency department with more treatment bays, minor injuries area, and improved isolation facilities. The addition of a CT scan, expanded laboratory and molecular testing and blood bank. In surgical services, there will be an increase from 2 to 3 theaters and enhanced minimally invasive surgery. Addition of ear, nose and throat, oncology and cardiology clinics. Expanded maternity unit and enhanced neonatal care with HDU and NICU. More dialysis stations, larger physiotherapy unit with an expanded scope of rehabilitative programs, expanded pharmacy and improved catering, laundry and maintenance.
For me, the story of the stadium is not just a chapter in the history books, but it really is the living DNA of this institution. And so while it is that we've been able to focus on the last 16 years as one of stadium ingenuity, and we've learned at St. Jude Hospital that we are unstoppable, today it is with a tremendous sense of pride, a tremendous sense of gratitude, and an overwhelming sense of happiness that I can stand at this new facility and to say that we truly look forward to returning to our original home at Auger.
For the St. Jude Hospital Board of Directors, this has been a long time coming. They have spearheaded each phase of the 16-year journey from tragedy to triumph.
To the people of the south of St. Lucia, those who actually use the services of St. Jude Hospital, we are saying to you, thanks. Thanks for your patience that you showed. We are now on the eve of the 16th anniversary of the destruction of our hospital. But I'm here to tell you that not too long from now, we will be moving from where we are presently at the stadium to that new locale at Auger. We are promising you world-class medical services with top-notch equipment, and we will get back to that zenith where St. Jude Hospital, one of the premier medical facilities in St. Lucia.
For the staff of the St. Jude Hospital, this anniversary is particularly poignant. One they believe will be the last in the existing location. For them, the move to the new Auger site will signal a shift in staff morale and improve access to care.
I don't feel much encouragement is needed because it's an expectation that all of us have. We want to move, a lot of the issues you probably hear outside of St. Jude's in terms of, buildings and this type of thing. We don't have that here because our intention is we are in a situation that's not conducive, and we want to go into a structure where we could work properly. So there's not much motivation needed. Like I say, we're not in the proper structure and we want to move.
As at September 9, 2025, most civil works are complete. Equipment for the kitchen and laundry are already on island. The project is awaiting the arrival of medical equipment for installation and commissioning. In the coming months, the hospital will transition to a new facility with double the current bed capacity, enabling substantial expansion of clinical, diagnostic, and support services. The transition marks a significant advancement in enhancing the national health system's ability to respond to evolving healthcare demands. Jade Brown, St. Jude Hospital.
Right, and that piece coming from Jade Brown as part of the communications team over at the St. Jude Hospital Reconstruction Project. Now, of course, this is a matter that has dragged on and on and on, and there's been quite a lot of blame here and there being put around by different sides, and perhaps that will continue. I don't know that is going to go away, but the achievement of this, I think, is really, really important for the country, that it needs to be able to move beyond this episode in terms of the delivery of projects. Now, we sometimes think that this is something that is inimical to countries that are small and that maybe small states, and you get that a lot. But it actually is a challenge for even countries that have lots and lots of resources, and they sometimes themselves struggle with major infrastructural projects. And we can think to the Berlin Airport, Berlin International Airport, which was being constructed. I think the Willy Brandt Airport. I can't remember. I think that was the name of it. Which is really a recasting of an existing airport, Schönefeld in the southeast of Berlin in Germany. And of course, we think about Germany, and we think of a country that is, of course, one of the largest economies in the world. For a very long time, it was the fourth largest economy after the U.S., China, and U.S., China, and Japan. And they of course have a very strong standard of construction. We think of the autobahns and the infrastructure that country has had as an industrial nation, and they had a serious challenge with this project. It dragged on, and it took a while, and there were issues in the design, and it was a whole fiasco that went on for very many years, and it was very much delayed in a very similar kind of way with respect to St. Jude Hospital. And again, this is a country that has immense amounts of resources and funding and wealth, and it's a problem. It's a problem in that regard. And another project that comes to mind even right now is that of the HS2 high-speed rail 2 line, which the United Kingdom has been trying to take on between London and the north, London and Birmingham and beyond. And again, it's another project that has been mired with delays, with challenges. Every time it's a new issue, the scope it changes. They don't have the money to do this section. They're finding out lots and lots and lots of challenges with respect to that project as well. And of course, even in the United States, it's another situation there too. When you have some of these certain types of projects, you get significant delays and no end in sight to the completion of certain projects. The California high-speed rail is another good example of just that. And you would think that these are again countries that have lots of checks and balances and lots of resources to throw at projects, but sometimes they do get mired in lots of difficulties. Can we afford it, though, when we're speaking about small island developing states? I think the answer is no, and that's the challenge that we have. Quite often, we don't have the opportunity to get it wrong, right? We don't have too much space in terms of second chances, and so that is why we have to be very, very careful in terms of how we make investments, where we make the investments. Is it the best location? Is it the best value for money that we're getting? Do we even really need some of the things that we are looking for, and to find that best mix. And so it can be very frustrating, though, for the public, because quite often we think we know what we want, or we think we know what is needed, and you hear about studies that take for a very long time and feasibilities, and they've been hearing about this, and then from the perspective of the public, they're just hearing politicians talking about various things, and yes, this is going to happen, yes, this is going to happen, yes, this is going to happen. But then sometimes the expectations are far greater than what is possible and what could happen within a particular amount of time. And so certainly that's another lesson, I think, from St. Jude Hospital. How do you manage expectations? How do you, in fact, achieve what is reasonable and possible? And can we, in fact, sometimes afford the certain luxury? So that's why, especially in the case of what we saw between the period 2016 and 2021, why it is very, very affronting, because you had a project that was effectively at that point in 2016 70% complete, and you had financing to be able to complete that project as per the design. Materials, everything, equipment, already, a lot of it already on order. It was a mobilized set project. And you then come in to a project like that and start looking for reasons why it shouldn't happen. And, getting all sorts of spurious stories about doors not being wide enough, and or there's a pillar in the room, and so that somehow is going to impact on the ability for the room to function, which is, the furthest thing from reality. And that ends up causing a significant challenge when it comes to, how to move forward. So the best approach at that point would have been to have actually completed the hospital, which would have meant that the hospital should have really been completed probably somewhere around 2017, which then places us, easily 8 years behind schedule from that perspective. And that is really what is unfortunate in this situation with respect to St. Jude. And so it is still going to be, no doubt, a matter that will be coming up in the next general elections. Let's take a break at this point to take in our weather report.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up. What are you looking for? Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle-dazzle. Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for. That sounds perfect. I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation. I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And this is your weather report brought to you by Island Style.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And the forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east and east-northeast near 17 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour. Weather, fair to partly cloudy skies with a chance of a few brief showers. Forecast for the Lesser Antilles. Fair to partly cloudy skies with a few brief showers. The tropical weather outlook. The tropical high pressure system will generate moderate easterly winds and restricted showers. We should get shower activities across the lesser Antilles during the forecast period. A tropical wave located over the eastern tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour. Tropical cyclone formation is not expected over the tropical Atlantic during the next 7 days. And that is your weather report, brought to you by Island Style.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. Now, we did say that yesterday that we were going to speak a little bit about the matter of the pronouncements made recently by the leader of the opposition and political leader of the United Workers' Party, Honorable Alan Shastney, on what he dubbed SOS. And, well, for some people that has different meanings, SOS, but we won't go into that at this point. But there's an interesting piece that was written on this matter by Mr. Urban Dolor, former principal of the South Louis Community College and former mathematician as well. Very interesting detailed piece on his views regarding how these 7 promises should be viewed. And I just wanted to share that as a sort of icebreaker on the matter. And he writes as follows. Before the 2016 general elections, Alan's personal friend warned us that Alan is reckless. We did not listen. Instead, we allowed Alan to con us with his 5 to stay alive bluff. 1, he promised to remove the onerous value-added tax. He didn't. He proclaimed that the price of gas would go down. It didn't. He said that we would enjoy lower grocery prices. We didn't. He boasted that the U.S. would stop asking us for visas. They didn't. He assured banana farmers that all arrangements were in place to ship bananas to the French territories. That never happened. In this election cycle, Titus Preville, a candidate from Alan's United Workers' Party, has revealed that Alan cannot think through a situation. Right-thinking solutions will not disregard Preville's alarm. To that end, we must see Shastney's SOS as a set of ill-conceived concoctions meant to dazzle us. Here are some of the concoctions he proposes this time around. 1. Immediately terminate the punishing 2.5% levy. See item 1 above. He promised to remove the onerous VAT. Number 2, reduce the gas prices. See item 2 above. And item 2 above is he proclaimed that the price of gas would go down. And 3, pay banana farmer NIC pensions. See 5 above. And 5 above we just mentioned. He assured banana farmers that all arrangements were in place for bananas to France. Let us focus on the proposal of free tuition at SALCC. Let us accept that any effort to make any social amenity more accessible to the citizens of St. Lucia must be welcomed. In that light, I take the opportunity to compare the initiatives implemented by the SLP to Allen's SALCC proposal. We note that each thoughtful initiative by the peer administration has universal benefits. Number 1, increase subvention to every preschool. 2, a laptop for every student entering Form 4. 3, payment for 4 CSEC subjects for every secondary school student. And 4, 1 graduate in every household. Currently, tuition at SALCC is approximately 80% free. Further, there is a program to provide assistance to students. Wouldn't it have been infinitely better for Chasney to give life to the model primary school he promised during his tenure as Prime Minister? Many proverbs remind us that we forget history at our peril. Preville warned us, let us never allow Allen to con us again. And that piece written on a Facebook page by Mr. Urban Dolaw, as I mentioned, former principal at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. And of course, the matter of those 7 promises that were unveiled this time around, interesting enough, the difference though, with respect to it coming out now versus during the 2016 general election is that I believe at the time when it was called during the 2016 general election, in fact, the election had already been called, I believe, and we in fact then saw this 5 to stay alive. But it was very, very close in time, certainly, and very close to an election date. And as with a lot of election promises, the ability to necessarily analyze precisely what has been promised and look at them in terms of how feasible they are, how much they will cost, what the implications may be, is quite often not something that we get enough time to be able to do. Part of the challenge as well is that that the parties sometimes wait right until the end to unveil their manifestos, and manifestos then do not really account for very much in that context because individuals invariably don't have the amount of time to be able to see what the implications may be with respect to the particular initiatives. I mean, one of the initiatives, for example, that was raised by the United Workers' Party on Sunday was that of the taking away of the dredging fee. I'm not sure if they use the term dreaded dredging fee, but I guess that would have been interesting enough. But to remove it for persons living in the south of the island who were not utilizing the dam, right? So in principle, that sounds like a good thing. The big question is, though, what is the implication? Now, the reality is that the dredging fee was set by the National Utilities Regulatory Commission, which is set up by an act of parliament to oversee, the fairness of the operations of utilities in the water and electricity sectors. And in the instance of the dredging fee, it was meant to go towards payment of particular items, which in fact in this instance have already been done to some degree. and in fact have to be repaid. So these loans have been taken out through the Caribbean Development Bank, and there were two projects in that instance. One was the actual dredging of the dam and the equipment involved in doing that and what have you. And that was the largest contract, I believe. But there was also another contract, the matter of the settlement disposal area, which also was being funded from the dredging fee. From what I believe, the dredging fee generally is collecting somewhere around $5 million a year. So the idea that you are taking that away for maybe, let's say about 40%, 45%, maybe even half of the population, you're talking about somewhere between $2 to maybe $2.5 million that you'll be taking away from bills of persons in the South. The question is then, though, how is that going to be replaced? Because you already have loans that have been charged against these items. And you would also recall, not just that there are loans, that the effectiveness of the money that has been spent thus far has been inadequate to fully address the issue of the large amounts of siltation in the dam, which of course is impacting on the capacity of the dam. So there's a big question mark regarding that aspect. Now, of course, the idea is to, hey, we are providing savings and impact for people, and it wanted to be more targeted, so we're helping people in the South to some degree in terms of their own bills. But it still means, though, that the government effectively will still have to find, or WASCO will then still have to find the monies to be able to fit that out. And the big question is, again, this was made by a decision of the National Utilities Regulatory Commission, right, which is supposed to be acting somewhat independently, or in fact, it's supposed to be independent of central government in the whole matter of setting tariffs. So that I think is a very interesting aspect of this whole issue. It's one thing to say, well, we're going to propose, or we're going to encourage legislation, maybe some form of differentiated tariff system to allow for some people to pay more because it in fact is costing the country more to get water to them, because maybe they have to pump more, or whatever it is. But in this instance, it's a little bit tricky, unless if you're going to be going that route of actually legislating this matter somehow. So that was one aspect which I thought was interesting. But the whole issue, of course, of South Louis Community College has been one that has been pretty intriguing as well. And that is partly because it seems to be so contrary to the views that were held by Mr. Chasney about Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. And I think we have a very interesting clip on this entire matter of Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. And it actually gets into going back in time, looking at some of the statements and the debate that was going on in Parliament with respect to Sir Arthur Lewis Community College and the views of the leader of the opposition. At that time, the Prime Minister, the views of Prime Minister Alan Chasney on the matter of SALCC. Let's take a listen.
And when the Labour Party tells you they want to make sure that one person in every family can get it, when is that going to happen? We have decided that education is too important for the advancement of the young people of this country, and we're going to give it to you.
Now, we talking tuition free, right? And would you admit that Alan, or the leader of the opposition, seemed to have had an epiphany? Because it was the same leader of the opposition who asked persons to wean themselves off a government for Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, in that the dependency on government is too much. This is the same political leader now offering up every every seeming dream of the average St. Lucian.
The fourth thing that we're going to be doing under our SOS program is to give free tuition for all of the students going to Sir Arthur Lewis College.
Wait, what? Met of all people saying that?
Issue is Sir Arthur. And, I want the public to know my position. My position is we're spending $15 million a year on Sir Arthur. And it clearly is inadequate. And it's supposed to be running as a private entity. And what we've been trying to encourage Sir Arthur to do, one is to focus on maybe a couple of curriculums instead of trying to be everything to everybody. And maybe look for a partner. So whether you're going to associate yourself to a different program. But the only option that they're looking at now to solve their problem is to raise the price of tuition, which a lot of people are not going to be happy to hear.
Prime Minister Alan Chasney affirms that the government of St. Lucia is not capable of providing more than the $15 million allocated to the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. The nation's leader further claimed that the college, which was established under an Act of Parliament in 1985, should ideally be self-sufficient. This comes mere weeks after central government apparently rejected a bid from the college to increase tuition fees for the 2018-2019 academic year.
Government is not in a position to give more than $15 million. And I would say to you that it's very generous on the part of the government of St. Lucia to continue to make that level of allocation when by now they should be self-sufficient. But the situation is so bad up there, they're not even paying rent. So you have other institutions in St. Lucia that are paying rent. They're not paying rent. They're not even earning enough monies to be able to maintain the existing buildings they have. But it's because of the process. And so this is what we're now trying to work with Sir Arthur Lewis College, to make sure that Sir Arthur is providing a very clear transition from graduating from secondary school and making it into the workforce, and providing as many services as we can in order to make our population more competitive than it's ever been before.
Additionally, the Prime Minister indicated that there is a general misconception about the real cost of courses at the institution and raised questions about the previously proposed fee increase.
Most people believe that the tuition at Sir Arthur Lewis is $1,500, right? It's not. It's $9,000. $9,000, of which government pays $7,500 and the student pays $1,500. So my argument was, okay, you're going to ask for an increase in tuitions. What is it that kids are getting? Are they getting a better education? Is there better programming? And why do we find ourselves waiting almost a month again before school begins to implement the fee?
Chasney further opined that the government's subsidization of courses at the college is unfair to other students who wish to pursue education at other tertiary institutions which do not benefit from similar government subsidization. However, the Prime Minister failed to make a distinction between the college, which was legislated into existence by the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College Act of 1985, and private institutions which may be currently operating on the island.
So it means that the government of St. Lucia is only subsidizing students that go to post-secondary school education who go to Sir Arthur. So only kids who apply for scholarships get scholarships to go to Monroe. So let me ask you a question. What happens if the government changes its policy and says, you know what, anybody who wants to do a post-secondary school education, I'm willing to give them a scholarship of $3,000. And so 5,000 kids on the same $15 million allocation would be able to be resolved.
Ministry's South Parliamentary Representative, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, is harsh in his criticism of the government's proposed changes to education. He says the plans are elitist and will seriously disadvantage St. Lucians hoping to gain the benefit of tertiary education.
It's because of a belief that education is a fundamental right that must be provided to the children and youth of this country. The Prime Minister is throwing that on its head. He's saying, in his view, when government policy changes and anybody to do post-secondary education will get a scholarship of $3,000 a year and Balfinipu.
The fact is, right now, we're spending 18% of our budget, and in some cases even more, on education. There's certain programs you cannot borrow money to build. So everybody was complaining about the pace in which Sir John was building new schools. So for instance, let's take the St. Jude Hospital. The government now has turned around and is borrowing $20 million from the Taiwanese.
You had to get the schools, two secondary schools. Now they're 18 or 20. If you're planning for a year, they say plant rice. We would say plant bananas. If you're planning for 10 years, you plant trees. But if you're planning for a generation, you educate your people.
I'm very glad that the children from Sir Arthur Lewis are here, because clearly this is exactly what we've been asking Sir Arthur Lewis board to be able to do for the last 2 years. When we look at the finances of Sir Arthur Lewis and the inability for Sir Arthur Lewis to actually maintain the buildings that they have. So for years we've been going on the premises to who's supposed to fund it. And my remarks about Sir Arthur, about the $15 million, is we must frame it differently so we think of it differently. The question becomes, if in fact the tuition is $1,500, then your expectation is substantially less. But if in fact the tuition is $9,000, the question becomes, are we delivering $9,000 of worth of programming to the kids? We must have a value for how important every single dollar that we have is. And so I end where I started.
Governments do not subsidize our youth to give them education. Government invests in our youth when they give them education. I cannot accept anybody saying to young people, this is a favor we're giving you, we're subsidizing your education for you.
Yes, that was a mixed piece, a lot of different inputs from different times, but certainly we got the sentiments of then Prime Minister Alan Chasney and how he viewed South Lewis Community College and his approach towards financing it, even suggesting that they should perhaps have been paying rent for the buildings on the Moor. Very, very strange comments, of course, given the fact that South Lewis Community College is a state institution. It is state-funded. I'm not too sure why he would think that they should be paying rent. I don't think that SLASPA is paying rent for running the ports and the airports. I don't think that Wasco is paying rent, at least I don't, as far as I know. But I mean, Wasco is even different because it's a utility. But you're looking at so many institutions out there. Do we ask the OKEU to be paying rent to be on state property and using state buildings? Very, very, very strange comments being directed at South Lewis Community College at that point, and even questioning at that time, $15 million being put into South Lewis for their annual subvention. I think from in 2024, 2025, it had already gone up to about over $18 million. So I mean, it's not money that's less money is being put into South Lewis Community College. That's certainly not the case. In fact, we're seeing quite a lot of investment into South and in terms of even the upgrading of buildings. The Victor Allen Archer building quite recently was upgraded, and much more to be done in terms of that campus. I think the government putting aside $1 million last year or this year for the refurbishment of the science laboratories, and we should certainly be speaking about investment in South Lewis Community College. We should certainly be speaking about post-secondary and tertiary level education. It's vital for human development, but that was not his view at that time. And in fact, there's even a piece where I think he's speaking over in New York to some St. Lucians in New York at a town hall meeting, where there too he's also questioning even the need for university education and suggesting that what was really needed is skills, and that we should be spending more time on skills development. Now, mind you, he's saying that against the backdrop of already an existing National Skills Development Center, which has been begging for more and more resources to expand programs. And of course, now we're also seeing the advancement of TVET and the TVET institutions that have been established around the island. So yes, certainly we need skills. We need more to be done in terms of skills development and apprenticeship systems and programs. That is really very important. But should it be at the expense of going and culling the budget of Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, which apparently, according to what he was saying, it would be better to take the $15,000 and just give out scholarships of $3,000 per person. Again, the math doesn't quite make sense, but again, we'll have to continue that conversation at another time when we have a little bit more time to digest on those implications. But in the meantime, we do hope that you have a very blessed middle of the week, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We'll be back again, God willing, for another program of the Lunchroom tomorrow. I hope you can join us for that. I'm your host, Alex George Jr., saying goodbye.